So, okay, imagine you're in charge of Planet Inc. It's a huge conglomerate, stretches all over the planet. Been going for as long as anybody can remember. Millions of workers, billions of people dependent on its success. But it's in trouble. It's in real trouble. Your finance director's just come to tell you the risk register says, could be financial meltdown in the next 30 years. Human resources say we've got some real issues around some important skill shortages in the future. Operations say they can't guarantee any longer the supply chains. And anyway, some of the really productive sites of the past are set to nosedive. So you're worried. You're worried about your stakeholders. They've been used to getting the check through the door. They quite like the way you've been running the business historically. It gives them the life that they like. You're worried about the report leaking. Something might happen in the press. Questions might be asked from the floor. What about your leadership? How long have you known there's been problems? What plans have you put in place to deal with this catastrophe? So what are you going to do? Well, the one thing for sure you're not going to do is nothing. And the next thing you're not going to do is ask for another dozen reports before you make any decision. Because it's time for actions, not words. Urgency has to be a watchword, not panic, but a rapid reappraisal of your situation. Maybe your business model's wonky. Just maybe that command and control, we know it all, isn't going to work anymore. Hey, there might well be some people out there in the sticks in some of your branches that might have some sparky ideas about how you might want to work within this organisation called Planet Inc. So the next thing you go is to go to your head of research and you say to her, go and find me a case study. Go and see what people are doing out there. See if there's any alternative models that might help us at the board discuss about how we take Planet Inc. forward. And that is when you discover Incredible Edible Todmorden. It's an experiment. It's an experiment of volunteers in this market town in the north of England, 16,000 people. Volunteers who are using simply the concept of local food to redefine how they want to live their lives and feel about themselves and their contribution towards the future. It's a market town that's decided it's up for actions, not words. And it most certainly is not having a default position where it's going to ask anybody for any permission about building a kinder world for itself and its children. Might not this be a few ideas that the people in Planet Inc. might want to talk about? Might not a little bit of ownership of the problem and spreading responsibility for the future might not be something that you want to pick up on? Well, of course it is. You start to look at this model. It's a really simple model. It's got 3 spinning plates: community, learning, and business. And if you put local food at the heart of the way we live all those 3 areas, what does it actually mean for your town? Well, interestingly enough, if you start to spin the community plate, weird and wonderful things start to happen. Without asking anybody's permission, propaganda gardens start to pop up all over the place. People take down their front walls and offer food for sharing. People wanting to share with people they've never met in their entire lives. You'll find that you've got veg sprouting up along canals and in cemeteries and in the most unusual places. And you'll find that the people themselves are starting to create edible landscapes around all the schools, around all the churches, even at the police station. And then you've got the learning plate. If you put food at the heart of that, it's a really easy no-brainer. You can get little children from this high to this high learning new skills, starting to come out with new qualifications, starting to believe that there is something that they can do that's really practical for their community in the future. And then you've business. Stalls popping up all over the place, selling pies and pickles and beers and bread and you name it. Whatever you want to do, that's the point of Incredible Edible. Think about food, do something about it. We're starting to see new businesses pop up. We're starting to see new enterprises started. We're starting to see those shoots of economic growth starting to come through from a very local level, simply because the people in that town are prepared to take on an experiment with their lives, a forever experiment. And the really interesting thing about spinning these 3 plates is that you start to get quite a buzz in the town. People are really, really excited about that idea of them being part of a solution. Really, really happy to be left to find some of their own local ways of building new prosperity. And they are most certainly not going to ask anybody's permission for doing that. And they're most certainly not going to do it based on strategies. They're going to do it because in their bones they know it's time for positive action. Now, somewhere in this lot has to be something for the leaders of Planet Inc. to think about. And we in Todmorden and in the dozens of towns all over the country that are spreading this incredible edible movement, simply using the power of small actions to change our lives, we've got a few pointers for them. One of them might be that, contrary to public perception and the wisdom of the corridors of power, people really are part of the solution, not the problem. Because each and every one of us increasingly recognise that there is something we have to do to change our lives, but we just don't know where to start. Recognising that we want to do something positive because there seems to be a plethora of obstacles in our way to leading kinder lives, so we're just going to roll up our sleeves and get on with it. We're not waiting for our local authority, we're not waiting for an election, we're not waiting for anything, we're just going to do it. One plot at a time, we are trying to build a different world. Without waiting for any cheque to drop through any letterboxes, people in the dozens and dozens of towns around the country are creating these edible landscapes. Landscapes that aren't just about food to share, because of course that is at the heart of what we're trying to do in this kinder, prosperous society. But also to remind us just that the power of changing the future lies within each and every one of us. And as we see those shoots growing from the ground, so we feel that power growing in ourselves. And this self-reliance, this self-confidence, this belief in ourselves to be able to invest our own capital in a different future is quite contagious. But it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a 1-year, 2-year, or 3-year strategy. And it most certainly can't be done to you. It's something you want to grab and hold on to and spread. And it spreads to the most unusual places. It's really captured the imagination of the police. And who would have thought that when we started this growing scheme? We put some raised beds up in front of the police station, and there they are, happy as Larry, watering their stands of sweet corn and onions. And you know, their start's not mine. Community relations has never been better because who can help but smile? And environmental damage in the centre of town, through no particular policy drive, has dropped by 18% because of the community wanting to take over and love unloved spaces. It's captured the imagination of the job centre, and that takes some doing. Who want to be part of something positive. Positive, positive, positive. That's the key. And just maybe, the people that travel there day in and day out might just start to think about a different future, may just be interested in gaining some different skills, may just have some hope when before there was none. And even the good old scouts are on board, because from the volunteers in Todmorden, now they've created an incredible edible badge, and they're going to roll that out nationally, and that's fantastic. And loads of other people have got on board this really, really simple proposition about spinning 3 plates with local food. The local authority didn't ask them in the first place, would have got nowhere, but now they've produced a register of land that people can apply for and just start to grow on. And they've said to their workforce, this isn't about bureaucracies and it's not about new money. This is about bending your work programmes and your budgets to help the community do what they want to do. So suddenly, this infectious spirit is starting to spread. It's spreading to the high school. The high school that has got many, many challenges, but it has made it brave enough to put food at the heart of the curriculum way before Mr. Gove thought it was a good idea. But good on him. It's also made them brave enough to take part with the community in a social enterprise. An enterprise that is called the Incredible Aqua Garden, growing fish and fruit and vegetables in the land around the school. It's employing people. It's taking on apprentices. It's bringing young people through their BTEC in agriculture in the school when they weren't getting anything in the past, and giving them a chance to see a job in the future feeding the people of Todmorden, or becoming the soil scientists of the future, or what the heck. Simply by spinning this simple idea, people are starting to elaborate in the ways that are important to them. And it goes way beyond that. The economy. It's just an experiment. It's just volunteers. None of us get paid. But I'm really pleased to say that in 2011, students from Sheffield University came to us, did a survey, and found that 49% of all local businesses had got increased take-ins because of what we were doing. And a guy that came over from Italy found that with all the stuff that had been in the newspapers, we'd brought about £1 million worth of free advertising to our town. And then we've got our veg tourists. Well, how fantastic are they? They come from all over the globe to poke around in the raised beds, probably in the middle of winter when there's nothing in them. But nevertheless, we took 1,000 of them on guided tours through the town last year, and they spent tens of thousands of pounds in the cafes and the bed and breakfasts and the shops. And that's just about the power of inspiring people to want to contribute to a more positive future. And it's not just about Todmorden. We've got 40 towns across the UK, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England, who are spinning those three plates, who are regaining their power, who are believing in themselves again. It's part of an incredible movement that's got a really simple strap line. If you eat, you're in. It's not difficult. And all over the globe, communities who didn't know where to start to build a kind of future are doing so. So don't you think there might be a few messages for the leaders of this planet? Don't you think it's about time they gave us a clear alternative proposition for how they're running things? And don't you think some of those messages that we've got in the towns that are Incredible Edible might not help them? Because we've got a few ideas. They need a new plan. They need a new vision. A plan that is based on trust of the people to be part of the solution, not the problem. And a plan that allows communities to find their own way through to a new kind of prosperity. A vision that sees strength in inclusiveness and kindness. A vision that is prepared to redefine wealth, that embraces wellness, and that is not embarrassed by happiness, but fundamentally more than anything, a proposition that has at its very heart a very simple but engaging idea. Please believe in the power of small actions. It can create a brave new world, and it can create a world that can be truly incredible. Thank you.